What's up everyone, welcome to Tech Savvy Buyer. So in today's video, we're going to be covering the Superbox S1Plus Pro. This is the latest model that has just come out from Superbox. It's actually a limited anniversary edition. And some of the major differences that are inside this is that you have an increase in RAM and increase in ROM storage as well. Does this actually make a difference when it comes to performance? And what are the cool things for having and wanting to own a box like this? So I'll explain everything you get with this box, how you'll be able to get a lifetime subscription to over 1,000 different channels and videos on demand. And we'll cover all the different specs and features that you get out of this box. But first, let's get a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by GVGMall.com. GVG Mall carries a wide variety of game currencies and gift cards that you could use to take your gaming to the next level. If you're looking for a fresh copy of Windows or Microsoft Office, then you can certainly find those on GVGMall.com as well. They are priced very competitively and offer legit copies of Microsoft software. You can pick up a copy of Windows 10 Pro for under 15 bucks. Visit GVGMall.com for more information and use code TSB to save during checkout. So welcome back guys. So let's kick off this video with a quick unboxing of what you actually get inside this package. So upon opening it, inside the package you get the actual Superplus S1 Pro device. Underneath it you get access to a remote control, a charging cable, an HDMI cable, as well as an antenna, and of course a user starter's guide or user manual. Now all the stuff you need comes right in the box. You don't need anything in addition to this to get everything set up and running. Now setting this up is super simple. Just go ahead and connect the antenna to the back of the Superbox. So that way you just screw it right on there and you'll get access to getting better signal strength when it comes to connecting to your Wi-Fi or your router that's in your home. Once you have that set up, it's as simple as just plugging in your power cable and plugging in your HDMI. Now, depending on what your setup is in your house, if you have access to running the connection over Ethernet directly, that's probably going to be the best way to go ahead and set this up because it is a streaming box, which means it's going to be getting all of its content over the internet. So definitely make sure if you have that to take advantage of that. Now, if you don't, the cool thing about this device is that it does support dual band Wi-Fi, which means you'll get access to those 5 gigahertz networks, which generally operate much faster than typical 2.4 gig networks and don't have as much interference as 2.4 gig ones do. So that means that even if you don't have Ethernet, you'll be able to stream everything pretty rapidly and you'll get good quality. So in all my testing with this device, when I compare the Ethernet to the Wi-Fi use, it was actually very, very similar. I didn't have any stuttering issues depending on which one I was using, and overall was very pleased with it. Now looking at the device, it's actually very compact, very small, very easy to place anywhere you want. I like that the base of it has 4 rubber grips, which means when you put it on someplace, it's not going to slide around on a slippery surface. It really keeps it in place. So let's jump into what you get on the actual box in terms of connectivity and different ports and whatnot. Now on the back of it, it's very basic. You have access to an AV port, an Ethernet port, HDMI, as well as the power plug inside. And on one side of it, you have access to a USB 3.0 port, a USB 2.0 port, a TF card slot, which you can put different apps on there, different music or media, whatever you want on a micro SD card and just slide it in there. And you also have a little pinhole reset function on this side. So it's pretty simple, nothing fantastic about how this device looks and how it feels. That's pretty much about it. Next, let's move on to the actual remote. Now again, setting up the remote, very straightforward. Just pop in 2 AAA batteries that don't unfortunately come included with the box, so you make sure you have to get those on your own. And then you have access to a programmable remote. That's right, this is actually a universal remote that you can program with your home theater system or your soundbar, and it works out of the box with this. The one complaint I have with this remote right off the bat when using it with this is that it needs to be in the line of sight for this to respond, meaning it's using infrared technology. It's not going over Bluetooth, even though the device does support Bluetooth. It's only going to be using that. Now I noticed in my setup here, you can see I have a lot of RGB things in the background. When I hooked up this to the monitor behind me, and I was playing around with the settings and changing channels, my light color started changing and all this stuff started going on. So that is one thing to keep in mind if you have LED mounted behind your TV or LED strip lights or whatever. This is going to interfere with that. It did for me. It may not for you, but I would just bank on it probably interfering with some of the different RGB stuff you have, especially if it's stuff that came from China. So that's pretty much what you get in the package. That's what this device looks like. That's what the controller looks like. Pretty straightforward, simple stuff. But you guys are here for the good stuff, which is what exactly happens when you plug this in and how good is the user interface. And with that, I'm happy to report, despite this having a very outdated Android system, it's running Android 7.0, which is by all standards not up to date, especially considering the price tag of this guy. So the cool thing and the reason why you guys would be interested in purchasing something like this is because you're going to get access to over 1,000 10 channels of live cable TV. And not only that, you're also going to get access to all the latest movies in full master quality or full HD resolution for free using the video on demand app. Now, setting this up is super straightforward. Once you have everything plugged in and ready to go, you just navigate to the apps folder. You'll select a specific application that comes only with the devices that purchase with the license. If you don't get the model with the license, you're not going to see this application in there. Once you see this application, you can just simply go in and download the Blue TV application as well as the Blue VOD, which is short for video on demand. Once you have those installed, you can just navigate to the live TV option, click on add, and select those apps inside there. Now, using the IPTV application on this is pretty straightforward. It isn't the most user intuitive that I've seen in other devices as well. However, I do like that it's very responsive and it's a very clean layout. If you want to access the user guide or you want to see a whole list of channels that are coming at different times, or different shows, shall I say, at different timings, you can just move the key to the right or select the right cursor option on your remote, and then you'll be able to see the different times. You can even change the time zones to see exactly what time zone you're in versus what time zone those different shows are going to be playing. So all in all, it's not the best user interface. I wish they had done something more DirecTV or PS View TV, similar, to something like that, to get it much more easy to see your channels and what programs are playing. In this case, whenever you want to see the guide, you have to go channel by channel. The good thing, however, is that flipping between the channels is instantaneous and there's almost no buffering at all. Now, if you guys have been, veterans in using different IPTV services, you're probably going to be used to some level of buffering or waiting for a channel to catch a stream and whatnot. But also, this is contingent upon how good your internet connection is. Now, if you're out in the boondocks somewhere and you don't have great internet, your experience is greatly going to differ than mine was. I have a pretty decent internet connection of 400 megs at my house, which is ample to run this device and several other devices in my home. So if you have at least, I'd say, a 50 megabit connection at home, you should be golden to use this in all of its glory. Now, the box does say that it supports 6K resolution. Honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you guys super honestly here, that's just a gimmick. You're basically going to be getting 4K out of this if you have content that's being streamed in 4K. Now, it's going to put out a resolution of 4K. When you go and check your display settings, it will show that it's 4K. However, the content that's being streamed over the internet, if it's not coming natively in 4K, just like every other cable channel you get on normal cable service providers with Dish Network or with Comcast or even with DirecTV, it's going to be very similar. You're still going to get full HD very easily and very clean. So the channel quality on this is nice, although it's not 6K. I don't know why they put 6K on there. It does support a resolution of 6K, I guess, but that's not really a practical resolution since most TVs are either 4K or now making the jump to 8K. So with the resolution aside, everything else seems to be working fine and dandy. All the channels that I tested on this worked well, and you even get access to HBO, Showtime, Epic, Stars, and pay-per-view events, all included as part of the subscription. Now, you also have access to channels from different countries. You can access channels from Canada, you can access channels from Philippines as well, and you have a bunch of options just within the US channels as well. So it's nice to see that you have a huge breadth of different channels that you can access with this device. Now, one thing to note, I will talk about the price here because I believe that is the main limiting factor of this device. Now, on the box, you're going to see a wild price tag. And that price tag actually reads $799, but don't get fooled. Nobody in their right mind would ever consider spending $800 on a device like this. It's simply not worth that. If the specs alone don't reveal it, even the UI and whatever you're getting it doesn't really make sense for it to do that. And I think the whole point of purchasing an IPTV box is so that you can save money and not have to pay those cable network providers hundreds of dollars per month just to get access to cable television. So with that out of the way, the price tag of this specific model, which is the limited anniversary edition model, it is $399. Now, I know that sounds pretty steep, and guys, honestly, that is pretty steep. I'd say that's the biggest con of this device. The fact that it's running an outdated Android 7 version, it's got pretty, nominal specs at best that would hardly be worth more than 150 bucks in my opinion. If you compare it to some of the other devices I've reviewed, you're not paying for this device, you're paying for the access to the lifetime subscription of all of those cable TV channels. Now, I do want to add one more thing. Again, guys, I always like to make my things honest, and I want you guys to know what you're going to be getting into. A dime a dozen of these type of cable boxes pop up everywhere. So it is possible at some point, even though they commit to giving you a lifetime service and several years of manufacturer warranty and whatnot, if some of these cable networks decide to go and pursue them over legal issues for whatever reason, they can just be up and out of business and you'd be short. So with that basically being said, if you drop $300 or $400 on this and you're not spending today more than 150 bucks or $100 on cable TV, it may not be the most sensible thing for you to do unless money isn't a problem for you, and two, you get lucky and you're able to use this for several months without any kind of use. I would say the ideal person to purchase something like this is you have that disposable income to drop on a device like this. Two, you're already spending hundreds of dollars on DirecTV or satellite with whatever cable manufacturer you have, be it Comcast, be it DirecTV, be it Dish Network or whoever. You can save that money, cancel your subscriptions with them, pick this up, and within 2 months or 3 months, you'd have made your money back. And every month after that you continue to get service on this, it's pretty much free at that point. You've made your money up for it, and you also have just an Android device. Now, if all else fails, this is an Android device at the end of the day, and it supports Kodi as well. So folks who are familiar with Kodi, this supports Kodi. You can always still get access to IPTV channels as well as free videos on demand if you know how to set up Kodi and you pay for some of those sources as well. Now, another cool thing I noticed with this is that when I was setting up and navigating through the menus, I found it a lot easier if I was able to use a mouse and keyboard or even a gamepad for that matter, because the control that comes with it, although it is perfect for navigating the channels throughout the device, it's not the best for going through the menu. And fortunately, using the USB ports that are on the side, I was actually able to go ahead and use a keyboard and mouse with it. So didn't have any issues there. So overall, guys, I think the device is solid. I will say that honestly, make sure you know what you're getting into, because spending $400 on this isn't cheap by any means. You can pick up the smaller model or the lower tier model that has half the memory and half the storage. I believe it's 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of storage for $100 cheaper at $300. Either way, depending on which one you get, they both are expensive. Although I would recommend getting the faster one with more memory and more storage. It just makes for a much more user-friendly experience when you're navigating throughout the menu. I personally think that this one would be better than testing something with only 2 gigs of RAM. So with that out of the way, like I said, the price is steep. What I can do to help is give you guys a 10% code that allows you to save 10% off of this so that you can save 40 bucks or 30 bucks depending on which one you pick up. And I'll leave links in the description below for you guys to check this out. So one more thing I wanted to point out about the device is that there is no DVR functionality, which is kind of a bummer. You're not able to play or pause any of the live channels, but you can use that functionality for any of the video on demand. So it is kind of a bummer that there isn't a DVR feature. However, using the USB ports, you can attach external storage and use different apps to go ahead and do that kind of stuff. But keep in mind that if you're going to be recording on screen, it's going to impact the performance. There's tons of different apps out there for Android that allow you to do stuff like that. I'm not going to cover that in today's video. You guys can go down that rabbit hole as much as you want after that. But I don't think it's going to be the best thing to do with this device, just limited basically on its specs. So overall, guys, I think it's worth a buy, like I mentioned before. If you have the money to go ahead and toss on this, it's worth a buy. And if you guys are spending a lot of money on your cable subscriptions as it is, it's worth a buy in that case. So don't expect to do any kind of heavy gaming with this because the specs are kind of limiting it in that matter. But nonetheless, if you guys want to pick it up, I'll leave links in the description below for you guys to go and purchase it either from Amazon or directly from Superbox. Now remember, use code TechSavvyBuyer to save 10%. I do have a affiliateship set up with them, so I will get a teeny tiny commission every time you guys purchase one. So it's a great way to support my channel if you guys like my content. So please hit that subscribe button if you guys can and you're here enjoying my content. And that pretty much concludes my review of the Superbox S1 Pro. It is a solid, fantastic device that does exactly what it's intended to do. You get access to thousands of channels and thousands of videos on demand instantaneously, along with a remote control that works as a learning remote and lets you control your soundbar and other devices. I really like that extra touch with the remote, by the way. So I think this is a great device, albeit it is at a hefty price point, but just remember, you got to be smart with how you spend your money and make sure that you make the right decision if this is going to make up for the amount of money that you spend on cable TV as it is. And that is pretty much the end of this video, guys. So if you guys like this content, go ahead and smash that like button. And for more content like this and seeing more videos on PS Vitas and other tech items and whatnot, make sure you're subscribed and have your notification bell on, and I will see you guys on my next one. Peace out.